Hello, Jeff here from Hanging by the Moments. I want to take a few minutes to just kind of walk you through another little project. This is one that I didn't even really know was a thing until this last week when a customer asked me if I could make one of these. And it's really a simple design, and I'm going to kind of walk you through how to do that. Before we get too far into this, I've had a couple comments in the last month saying that I'm misleading in my videos and that I misrepresent what I do. And I want to kind of correct that a little bit. I don't make these videos to be fully comprehensive, and maybe I don't express that the way that I should. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through a design on how I design these items. It is not comprehensive. I am not going to show you how to clamp your material. I'm not going to talk to you about how to laminate boards. I'm not going to talk to you about how to laser engrave. I'm not going to talk to you about how to finish your product. This is strictly to show you one aspect of the design so that maybe you can take it and go with it and do something on your own. This is not a project walkthrough where I'm walking you through from start to finish on how to walk out of here with a completed project. This is not what I'm intending to do. I'm intending to show you one technique, possibly a couple tips and tricks of things that I've learned over the years. I've been doing this stuff for about 7 years, 8 years, something like that. And there's been a big progression in the software that's out there, and just to be honest, I stumbled and fumbled my way through it like many of you are trying to do right now. And so there are some techniques you can do with some of the simpler softwares to where you don't, especially if you're new, you don't have to go out and have the most expensive machine on the market. You don't have to go out and spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on your software in order to make something that's going to make a profit. And you can make a profit off this and allow your machine to pay for itself. And so if you want it to continue as a hobby, you can let the hobby pay for itself. If you want to make a business out of it, you can let the business pay for itself, and as it grows, yeah, you'll eventually get out of some of these cheaper softwares, but there's a lot of money and there's a lot of people that make their living off of these cheaper softwares. And I'm going to just kind of talk to you. The software that I'm going to use, the same one I've used in other videos in the past, is going to be Easel. I generated the G code for Easel, ran it on the Winfinity, which you see behind me. And what I made are these. These are cheese boards, serving trays. Okay? That's a Z, it's not an N, it's a Z. Okay? And that's a C. So these are big enough to hold your crackers and cheese in here. You can flip them over and use this as your cutting surface. We're not going to talk about laser engraving. We're not going to talk about any of that stuff like that. We're just going to talk about how you design this, how you lay this out, and how you can do it quickly and easily so that you can make some money off of this stuff. There's a lot of money to be made in these. There's a lot of profit if you know about how to go about getting your material and not spending a fortune on it. So let's just dive right into it. We'll do this video. I hope it helps some of you out. And yeah, we'll just get started. Alright, so I have Easel up and going, and we're going to just kind of dive right into it. What I'm going to try to do with this video is show you, if you're really new to this and you're not wanting to spend any money on any software, you can use, the Easel free version of software, because Easel has a free and a pro version. We'll stay out of the pro, and we'll just try to do this with just the free version of software. You're going to find out how extremely simple these little monogram cutting boards can be. So we'll just start here, and we'll just pick a text. We'll find one that's not a pro text. Let's just go with, we'll go with that one right there. And let's just say the name is Smith, and we'll just use an S. Alright, and then from that point you'll want to make the size, lock this size a little bit, and I don't know, make this somewhere around let's make it 11, something like that. Let's change this size material to 16 wide, 16. Now these are pretty good size. The one that I was asked to make, that's gonna move. Let's change this. We wanted 11. Here we go. And we'll play with this here in a little bit. Let's change that text. I don't really like it. Let's find another one that's free. Let's use Homestead. That one, Homestead. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. This will look good. So if we use this one, we may want to fatten this up a little bit, kind of make it look a little bit more like that. There we go. Kind of like that. Alright, and then this is where it gets really simple. And we'll change this up a little bit because we're going to do two things. We're going to change this from we're going to do an outline, and we're going to change this into a vector rather than text, and you'll see why here in a minute. So first of all, we'll go here to our apps, and we're going to do an offset. Use the offsetter tool, and let's keep the original, but up here where it says distance, we can play with that, and each letter is going to be a little bit different. Let's do a 2-inch offset. Yeah, that looks kind of good. Let's go 1.75 and see what it looks like. 1.5. Kind of like that a little bit better. Alright. And so we'll import that. And I'll show you why I wanted to keep the original on this. Because what we're going to do now is this right here, we're going to delete it. And we can take this inner vector right here, and we're going to kind of blow it up. This one didn't have to do it. I didn't have to explode the vector, or make it into a vector. It automatically did that for me. Sometimes you have to explode the letter, and that's a different app. Maybe we'll go over that a different day, but using this particular text we don't have to. And so you just kind of play that out like that, and then what you want to do is click on the center one again. No, we just want the center one. And you'll change that cut, and you want to pocket that out right there. And what I normally do is I'll do about 0.46, and I'll show you why I use a 0.46 here in a second. And then we'll just grab the whole thing, and we'll change the size. It's only 7 by 9. We want the width to be closer to 10. See what that does. 10 by 12. Yeah, that looks kind of good. Alright. And just bring it down. I usually like to give me a little bit of room. 0.1. Nope. 0.1. And 0.1. Gives me a little bit of room on the edge of the material. And so that's pretty much your finished product. You could cut this out with a 1/8 inch bit, but that's going to take you a really long time. If you simulate this, you're going to see it's going to take 2 hours and 20 minutes. You could do that. Oh, I forgot. You need to cut this all the way out. And I don't leave tabs. So that's pretty much all there is to it. You could do it with an 1/8 inch bit. What I do for mine, because it makes it look a little bit more finished and refined, I guess would be the word, is I use what's called a dish bit. And I don't tell easel that it's a dish bit. Basically all I do is I go in and I change this to say a custom bit right here where it says other. That's where you put in custom bits. You'll hear people say a lot of times that the bit choices are limited on easel. They're not. You can make up your own bits and you can actually save them at the end of your project when you run them. If you're exporting the G code, I don't think you can save them then. You can only save them if you've actually run the code. I could be wrong on that. But I use a 3/4 inch dish bit, so it's 0.75. And so technically you could run the whole thing with that. I wouldn't suggest using the 0.75 to cut that out. You could, I would not recommend it. So I would break it out like we did in the last video. Duplicate this and do 2 runs. And so you can go back here and you can delete that. And then on this one, actually, let's go back here and try to see. We want to delete that there. And on this one, we want to delete that. And on this one, you can change this bit to a 1/4. That's 1/8, so that's 0.25. And that's it. I mean, you could leave it like that. I would go into these cut settings, and depending on your machine, I usually run this manual, and I'll run this at about 150. And we're going to leave it to where you're just doing it as a pro, or not using as pro. If you wanted to actually go with the grain of your material, you can use this X or this Y raster, but that's going to be a pro. So this is just keeping it straight, basic, simple. And on this one, I usually go and change that to manual, and I will at least double that. Go a little bit more than triple, really. So do it at 100. I know my machine will cut that. But that's it. That's as easy as it is. I mean, now you'll have one of these little cheese boards that will actually look something like this. Alright, so here, I forgot to mention this before, but on this design where you're doing your pocket, you want to go up here to where it says machine, and you're going to go to where it says general settings, and where this says step over right here, you want to change that to 10%. And the reason you change that to 10% is as it's cutting this out, that step over means how far over that bit will cut each pass. And so when you change that from 40% to 10%, you'll get rid of those lines that you normally see. You'll still see some of it, and you have to play with your machine and see how fast you can get things to move. And you'll have to play with how fast you're actually turning that bit. If you have it turning too fast, you'll burn your wood. A harder wood does better, and these are just things that you're just going to have to learn based on your machine. I can give you what I use on my machine, but it's not going to necessarily be representative of what you use on your machine. So in the cut settings too, right here, we talked about why I use that 0.46 depth on that pocket. And that has to do with this depth per pass. I normally do 0.05. And I do this because it makes it easier. It slows things down a little bit, but it's not going to hurt. So what that's going to do is it's going to go down 0.05 for each pass, right? And with using a 0.46 as my depth, that last pass is it's 0.01 is my last pass. So it's 10,000ths of an inch. So with that really fine pass, it actually gives me a nice smooth finish on that very last pass. And that's just one of the things I do. That you can play with the math and figure that stuff out, and see what works best on your machine. But that's what I do, and it does. It's kind of a trade-off. You decide to go slower, you can go in and generate another tool path down here to do a finish pass, where you do a start depth that starts here and you only go down so far, and then you move really fast on that. That is another option. But to keep it simple and to make it to where anybody that's starting out can do this and have a good finished product, you can just set this up and let the machine do the work for you. I hope this helps everybody. I mean, well, you know, I can't make everybody happy. As much as I wish I could, I can't. I just hope that most of you get some kind of useful information out of this, and that, you know, some of you new people can use this kind of technique and go out and develop your own products and make some money with it. I guess I'll talk to all of you next time.